Welcome to Retail Retold, the stories behind how that store landed in your neighborhood. I'm Chris Ressa, in conversation with the people and stories shaping retail and real estate. Brought to you by DLC.
I'm going to ask you about that.
All right.
Welcome to Retail Retold, everyone. Today I'm joined by Joe Kahn, the founder and CIO of Condado Tacos. Welcome to the show.
Christopher, thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So, Joe, why don't you tell everybody a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, happy to. So my name is Joe Kahn. I'm the founder and chief innovative officer of Condado Tacos. Condado Tacos is a fast casual, we call it next gen, experiential taco joints. We started 8 years ago. We have 39 locations as of last year. We're working on 12 this year, so we'll have a total of 51. We're just this high energetic taco, marg, queso loving place that people just can't get enough of.
Fantastic. So, bring me back in time, Joe. What was Joe doing pre-Condado Tacos?
Sure. Yeah. So I just turned 50 last year. I think I'm turning 51 soon. Jeez, I can't believe that. But you know, when I was 16, I got my first job. It was at a place called Sizzler Steakhouse, if you remember those.
Oh, yes.
They're around anymore. I was a busboy, I believe, and part-time job. And I made my first $8 that day, and I became a restaurant lifer. I couldn't get enough of the cash. So for the last 35 years, I've really just been in every aspect of the restaurant business. Server, bartender, management, general manager. I did some consulting, back of house, dishwasher, everything you could think of I did in the restaurant industry. And when I was 38, I had the chance to start my own restaurant.
Got it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the restaurant space today. So I've had a couple of restaurateurs on lately, and so I try not to talk about this topic, but it seems like it's probably good lessons for everybody. So you owned restaurants in this COVID time period where we had shutdowns. So what was the strategy during COVID? How did you approach it? What did you do?
Well, at that time we had 25 restaurants, 26. I don't even know what it was. It was just frightening. I mean, I was at a conference with a bunch of restaurant guys yesterday, and all we talked about was this subject. But honestly, the shutdown came. We made the decision to shut down, just like right after that first NBA game shut down, the world shut down. We decided to close, and then first thing we did was, uh, started strategizing. I mean, we all got together, the whole C-suite, on a call. We all figured out what Zoom was all of a sudden because we didn't know what it was before.
Sure.
And, got on the phone. I was I had a president at the time. I was still the CEO of the company. So I was still leading the company. My president was on the way out because we had just done a private equity deal, and that was kind of the deal. So we were on the hunt for a new president to kind of take us to the next level. But I just kind of took over the reins, and me and my COO, Johnny Zila, who is a day one employee, started as a bartender next to me bartending in my restaurant, and has taken this company to a whole new level with me. We just started strategizing, talking, and seeing what's going out there. So, we shut down for about 2 weeks, and then, we had to make the decision of, we didn't know that, there was what was going to happen. So we had to let everybody go, except for the C-suite. And, with the promise that when the world opens up, everybody comes back, gets the back pay, all that kind of stuff. So, what became evident was this: while we were strategizing and we were all just flailing because we didn't know what the hell was going on. We didn't know about PPP. We didn't know about this. We didn't know about that. We didn't know if we had enough cash to go, and pay salaries. So it, it really came down to, we as a company, the C-suite, made a decision to reopen about 6 weeks into it, because what I found was I was trying to get groceries. I was the guy that was so paranoid that couldn't go out even with a mask. And I was like 90% of the people, I think, in the beginning, because there was so much misinformation out there, that just said, I saw that I couldn't get groceries for 2 weeks delivered. I go, we have to open. If there's people out there brave enough to go and open those doors, we have to. So we got a hold of all our managers, first of all. And all the managers said, yes, I'm coming back. I said, well, we're going to do to go. And you know what's so funny, Christopher? We got so much hell for that. I'm like, but people can't eat. Like, how are they going to eat? We have to open. If grocery stores can't feed you, restaurants have to. So, I think we made a sound decision. I thought that we were a great, partner to our communities, and it needed to be done. So we opened. And you know what? It was exactly like I thought. There was so much demand, we couldn't even keep up with it. So
Wow.
we literally, and this is funny, but I mean, our 4, 5 managers in the restaurant were doing probably just as much in sales as when the world didn't shut down and to go. So we did everything like convenient pickup for people that were brave enough, and, came out to, we did our own delivery, and then, third party, of course, but it was just a grind. And these brave guys that opened these doors, we were so grateful to. So it was pretty evident about 6 or 7 weeks into it that we were going to be okay. So we dipped into our bank accounts. We did all the back pay for all the managers. All the, hourly employees were invited back if they wanted to come back and they wanted to do the to go and all that kind of stuff. And we did their back pay, and then we, bonused everybody and made everybody whole and above whole. And, the strategy was just feed people. And then, what happened during the up and down, shut down, open, shut down, back and forth. But honestly, the 6 weeks were terrifying, but we made it through, and we were brave enough to do that. And we had some really brave people that are still, hopefully, most of them are still with the company, that did a great job.
Excellent. Well, that's a good story. So I'm curious. Pre-pandemic, what was kind of like an average unit volume for you?
Yeah, well, here's the interesting part. So right when we did our private equity deal, 2 weeks after COVID happened, it was the largest deal they've ever done.
Oh my
COVID happened. You're gonna love this story, dude. It's hilarious. So we were doing about 3.6.
Wow.
3.6.
Wow, that's
now
really
now we're at 4.1. So
Wow.
the pandemic actually helped us out because we had zero off-premise business at all. We didn't even believe in off-premise because we were so busy in the restaurants that we're like, oh, let's just keep up with this volume. We want to make sure that we can do this. But the pandemic actually taught us how to do to go and packaging. And it's funny because now if you go and look at like our scores, how they do like stars by that, we're actually one of the highest out of all the platforms. We sit at like a 4.8 for off premise. So it's incredible what happened. We went up about 7. We gained about 7% or so. Yeah, it's amazing.
Wow. So obviously the food travel's pretty good.
Yeah, it does. Yep. Tacos travel well.
We'll get into the private equity. That's interesting.
Sure.
On the private equity deal. So I think one of the topics everybody's talking about today that I'm curious about, you mentioned how you took care of your staff, and I think that was really interesting story you told there about the back pay. You said, I think you might have said, like, of course, I hadn't heard people actually giving back pay to the time off. So that was really interesting that you all did that.
Yep.
How's staffing today? You read headline news. How's it going? How's the people part of the business going right now?
Sure. Well, Christopher, I'm not going to brag. I'm not going to say that, we didn't have our challenges. But the reason that we did the back pay and dug into, the owner's pockets and the new owner's pockets was because we have a different culture, and that's what makes us successful. We've been open for 8 years. At the end of this year, we're going to be a 180 million plus company. And to build something like that, you have to have great culture. And the culture starts with the people. And this is what I talk about on every podcast, every deal that I do, everybody that I can preach from the mountaintops. The people, this is about the people. It's not about just the tacos. Yeah, we have craveable food. Yeah, it's fantastic. But it's really about the people. So people always come first to my organization. And I had to do that. I gave up my salary because we only brought back so many people in the support center, which is our office. I gave up my salary for a long time so I could bring back, I think it was like 10 people or so. Because the C-suite support center, we didn't need them because obviously, until we got the restaurants up and going, it didn't matter. So, but it's all about the people. And I just felt like it was necessary. I don't think I'm alone. I'm sure there's other people out there, but that's just our MO. That's how we treat our people. I have 10 original members that were all busboys, bartenders, servers that are now in the C-suites with me. And they are the ones that have built this company with me. So that's
amazing.
Yeah.
And hiring today?
Hiring today is not as bad. Yes, we had our challenges, especially with the great resignation out there. But what we found was pandemic did a number on people. It really did. People quit. Even managers quit. They went to go work for something that was less stressful. And then they came back 3 months later because they were like, it's the same anywhere. But the hiring can be challenging. Once we get them in the door, we're fine. But we don't have a lot of turnover. And we hire from within. Our rate of hiring from within is about 66%, which is huge. We're very successful with that because we don't just treat our employees like a number. We value our employees and we value our employees' lives. I'll give you a couple of instances. The reason I started this company was because I felt like I was treated like a number in this restaurant field. So I made this company, this world that I could live in, where I felt like I was a valued member of society to the people I worked for, right? And I got paid well. I didn't have to have a college degree, which I don't, as a matter of fact. I'm a multimillionaire and I'm very successful without a college degree. So, and most people in the restaurant business, they don't all have degrees. I mean, it's thought of as that way, but it's not true. That's not how you should value a person's intelligence or work ethic off of that. So, I pay people 8 years ago $20 plus an hour in the kitchen. I still do. So we value our people, and once you get to know that, people just flock to us. So we don't have the challenges as much as other people do with hiring because we're starting to get a great name for ourselves, just like In-N-Out does. I think In-N-Out Burger values their employees and pays them about the same that we pay them, which is about the 90th percentile in the restaurant industry, which is way above what anyone else does.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to thank you for that piece on the market and some of the stuff during COVID. Take me back to how you ideated the idea of this restaurant and, and getting into your first location?
Yeah, sure. So, okay, let's see. Well, always have to incorporate. This journey started 10 years ago, Christopher. I had another company that I won't mention the name. Happened 2 years before this, and my wife's friend at the time had a restaurant space that went defunct. So we had a liquor license and a space. And she put me together with him because she knew I always wanted to open my own place. And we formed a bit. I want to do tacos. And he goes, okay, I think that's great. There's none of that in the neighborhood. He goes, well, why don't you think about what you want? And so I went home, half a bottle of whiskey later, me and my wife, she was typing it all out. And I just sat down and went, this is what I want. This is my perfect restaurant that I want to build for myself. And it's funny because I looked at that little 2-page business plan. That's just ideas, art on the wall, the tacos. It is still 90% true to what Condado is now. So, anyways, me and a partner, got together. My wife left me $10,000 out of her 401k. I had $2,000 because he already owned the business. So, I mean, we did it on a shoestring budget. I think he put, a little bit more in, and opened the thing for God, I don't even know, $40,000. It was nothing at all. But it was great in the beginning, and then it wasn't great, and that's all I'll say about that. But I appreciate the guy. I appreciate the opportunity for the building, and it didn't work out, so we walked away. He has his own business, and I restarted a year later. I found two great partners that we each put $100,000 in, and started, which is still very cheap. We started under the name Condado Tacos, my same concept that I built from before, just a little better. I just added a few tweaks, and we opened in the short north of Columbus a year later. And the funny thing is, Christopher, real estate. So I found this building. I had to buy out, the assets, which were worthless, liquor license and everything else. And then I was so cheap back in the day. I did all the work myself with like one other guy, and then hired a couple of artists and put all this great artwork on the walls and set up the kitchen, which is really kind of easy back then because it was very little equipment and all that kind of stuff. Did all the work myself, and I opened the thing for probably $83,000 total and stuck the rest of the money in the bank because I was frightened that I was going to go under any minute, even though I had success with the other one. And you know, opened up and sold the dream to the employees. I said, listen, this did very well for me in where I moved from, Cleveland. And if you just give it some time and you believe in this, we're gonna build an empire. We're gonna build a legacy for all of us. We're gonna build this amazing craveable place, and we're gonna have lines out the door. Well, it happened that way, but it took about 6 months.
Of course.
They were like, Joe, are you sure? Actually, it took a little more than 6 months. It took about 11 months. And at the 11-month mark, we started having a little success. I think we were at like 25,000 a week. I remember a big celebration was 28,000. We broke the $28,000 mark a week. And then all of a sudden we hit 35, and I'm like, wow, this is incredible. 35 a week. Well, then we started getting busy, and I would bartend with this guy named Johnny Zila, who's my COO, Chief Operating Officer. And he would tell me about his experiences in the restaurant business. He was taking a break, just bartending. He had owned a restaurant in Chicago. He had done multi-unit stuff with Red Robin, blah, 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 all over the place. And I go, you know what? You're so much better than me. I go, I've sold you the dream. I will work my ass off, but I want you to be in charge of this. And my promise to you is I'm going to make you a millionaire if you stick with this, and I'm going to make you a partner, and we're going to build an empire. And He took the challenge. He was in charge for about 3 months, and he turned to me in February and he goes, Joe, I'm telling you, by May, I'm going to put this thing at 100,000 a week plus. I said, you're joking. He goes, nope. And literally, Cinco de Mayo, our first week, that we hit $104,000 that week, and then we were just
Wow.
off to the races. And after that, there was lines around the building for a whole year until I had the courage to not courage. I'm sorry, that's the wrong word. Until I found another space because I knew we were going to do another space. So the strategy with my two other partners who were great partners, they were really just the money, a little bit of strategy on real estate and putting my C-suite together and all that kind of stuff, but weren't restaurateurs. Was we weren't going to touch a penny because we knew we had lightning in a bottle. They knew it from the last place, and they knew it from what happened about 14 months into the business. So we were very strategic and didn't touch a dime. Paid my COO, double what I was being paid, so he could feel good about what he was doing and bonused him and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we got to the point where we were so popular that we moved 3/4 of a mile up the street, opened that by year 2,
Wow.
and had the same exact success. Just lines out the door. Couldn't get enough. Yeah.
So it's interesting because one of the things I find interesting is, you're at, did you say 39 locations today?
Yeah, 39.
So 39 locations today. That first one kind of moved around a bit. And right, like where you started the business in Cleveland, you got proof of concept, you go to Columbus, you open up a location, got so busy, you moved it down the road. So bring me back to you left the guy in Cleveland, you guys separated, you went your separate ways. And the location that you found in Columbus, was it like a freestanding building? Was it part of a shopping center? What was it?
So it's funny, if you know Columbus, which you probably do, you
Yeah.
some stuff. It's right on the outskirts of an area called Short North. It's like that middle part that connects campus and Short North, which is kind of a hip area for people. So I couldn't afford much. So it was a freestanding building that had 2 concepts in it. I think at the time there was nothing on the left. On the right, I took over an old gay bar, but it was just on that fringe where it's like semi part of the Short North, semi not. It was a great building. I saw it and I'm like, oh, this is it. But people were saying, no, I think it's just a little too far off. And I'm like, no, 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 no. It has to move this way. Eventually, I go, this is connecting OSU campus to Short North. I go, it's going to happen eventually. I just got lucky enough, and I think I had the vision to see and go, the business that's in there right now is failing because of their concepts and their dedication. It has nothing to do with the building or the area.
Yeah, it's not the location.
It's not the location. So I thought it was great location, and that's where we went into.
And how was dealing with that landlord telling him you're going to take this gay bar and turn it into a Mexican restaurant?
Well, to be quite honest, he was very happy. He was very happy because it wasn't that it was a gay bar. There's very successful gay bars three blocks up. It was that this guy that was in the building just wasn't a good operator. I mean, you walked in the building and you looked at the ceiling and there were holes in the ceiling. It's like, why can't you take care of it? So the guy had no funds to do anything. The place was just a mess. So I think the landlord was very happy. Of course, he was, hesitant, and we had to sign a guarantee. But my partners were happy to do that because they believed in me and they believed in the concept. But no, I think the landlord was very happy. And you know what? The landlord's a good guy. And I think it's probably one of his best moves he ever did was put us in there because I think they were doing
Yeah.
maybe $2,000 a week, and we've made that area. So,
And then you moved it, still in Columbus, 3/4 miles down the road. What type of building was that?
well, Christopher, I didn't move it. I added a second
Oh,
one.
that was your second location.
Yeah,
So you,
that was
are you still in that first location?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah. Sorry to
oh.
miss
So that, yeah. So that guy did make out. That was
Yeah.
you're still there 10 years later, 8 years later.
Exactly. But the new building was, completely different. It was literally in the heart of the short north. And, a little close for my comfort, I thought back then, but it turned out it was a totally different demographic. We were getting it from all sides. So that building was actually in the back. It was freestanding, of course. I shouldn't say freestanding. It was some retail in the front. In the back was a big park, and then there was tenants up top. So it was a big building. We were kind of
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no. We were kind of the anchor. They were just we were one of the first, if not the first, there. So we took the right corner, I guess, left corner.
Got it. So on the first one, when you saw the location, did you have to deal with the owner of the gay bar, and like you mentioned, buy his assets?
Yeah.
So you had to make a deal with that guy, clearly.
Yeah. I mean, listen, he didn't want to let the assets go for nothing, though they were worthless. There's a stage, DJ equipment, whatever else. I tried to sell all of it. I got like $12 for it.
Yeah.
It was probably worth $100,000. But yeah, I had to buy the liquor license, and then I had to buy his assets. He was okay to deal with. I mean, he was ready to go. He was probably losing money.
Was he open at the time or closed when you did you just walk in and say, listen, man, I can see the writing on the wall. Let me buy you out?
I looked at the space by the outside, and I could see in a little bit, and I go, this guy is not doing well. I think, knocked on the door, and he answered. His name was Red. I think Red. I don't know why, just Red, but they called him Red. And I go, are you guys open? He's like, we're only open for about another month or so. We're not sure what we're doing. And I said, well, can we talk? And he's like, oh, I just hired a broker. And so he gave me the broker's number, and I went through the broker. The broker was a piece of work to deal with, as they are, the rinky-dink brokers like that. But I shouldn't say that. He's a nice guy, but he was, it was our first time getting to know each other. But no, I mean, listen, it was all fine. It was a quick process. It was like
Okay.
2 weeks, barely any negotiation. And
Got it. So you make a deal with him, and then you call the landlord and say, I'm going to save you. I'm going to save you.
No. We had to get sign off from the landlord.
Yeah, the assignment. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we had to go through that. The landlord came and sat down with me. I invited my partners down. They were the money, not just the money. I call them the money, but they were much more. They were a third of the money, I guess. But they had their own money. I had nothing to guarantee. So they had to be there, and they helped me negotiate the lease with the landlord. And I think he gave us a 1-year guarantee, 1-year rolling, something like that. It was really an easy lease.
Awesome.
Not much to negotiate, but I think he was happy to have those guys out.
Amazing. Well, cool story. I love that.
Thanks, man.
I bet a lot of people don't know that the first Condado was actually once a gay bar, so that's a pretty cool story.
Well, it was not just it was a gay bar and a exotic dancers.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Whoa, very cool.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward, I guess, 5 or 6 years,
Yeah.
and now you're making a deal with private equity.
Yeah.
How'd that all go down? What were you thinking? Because I think this is an interesting point, because as restaurateurs go, there's a couple different avenues that you see them go, right? especially at that point of like, you said 12. So I guess at that point you're in the mid 20s locations, low 20s, you're doing good volume. They see the growth, and people either start to do one of two things. They either start franchising,
Right.
or they start looking to settle in potentially to private equity. Private equity loves restaurant business because cash flow, heavy, consistent cash flow.
Yep.
So, um, what was going on in your head as you were thinking about like scaling? And that's why people typically do one or the other. They want to scale this and explode it versus do one store every 6 months
Yeah.
type of thing.
Well, that's interesting. What's interesting about it was we were at about 13 stores.
Okay.
Believe it or not, we just generated so much cash flow, and I mean, our payback was less than a year on these.
Wow.
It was incredible. But never thought about franchising. In fact, I think franchising is the kiss of death, especially if you don't have your infrastructure in place. And I was setting my infrastructure up by the second store, meaning my support center. All the money went to my CFO. I hired a CFO. I hired an HR director. I hired all these people that I needed front loaded before I got in there. But private equity was the way to go. And it wasn't just about the money, it was more about the experience from private equity on how to grow and how to scale. You know what I mean? So, yes, the money was nice, but I didn't sell very much of my stake. My other partners cashed out almost completely. But no, private equity was the way to go. That process, my CFO was with the place called City Barbecue, and he had just done a transaction. And
I'm familiar with that.
yeah, and so he's really the one that taught me what the hell private equity was and how to build this thing and where we were going to go with our dreams. And so he had a broker named Ashish from BMO at the time, Bank of Montreal, and he gave him a call and said, "Hey, I'm working for this new concept. It's really special. Why don't you come take a look at us?" Came and take a look at us, and we sat down. My partners were hesitant, and I was like, "Well, I think it's time to get the word out." So me and one of my partners went to New York with Ashish. We did just a little coming out teaser party, kind of thing, and we met with
Road show.
yeah, we met with like I don't know, 20 private equity guys. Just gave them little teasers, 30-minute teasers. I'll tell you the funny story, Christopher. The first person that entered the room, his name is Christopher Artinian, was with Beekman, Private Equity out of New York. I fell in love with this guy. He was from Morton's. He was the ex-CEO, and he believed in culture. When he left that room, I go, we're going to end up with these guys. We interviewed like 20 other firms and went through the whole process. It took a year and a half, and we ended up with Chris. And actually, the funny story is I took him away from private equity. He's now my CEO.
Oh my goodness.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes the private equity guys, they have like these hired gun CEOs because they're buying businesses.
Yeah.
And when they buy businesses, sometimes they change management and they put their guys in. So you see that sometimes, but this is a little different of a scenario. If you were doing 3-6, right, a location, 13 locations, I mean, they were probably looking like, oh my God, this is so young. And this guy's got like a $35-45 million business. Like
Exactly.
they gotta be, they were chomping at the bit, I bet.
Well, I think they all were, but they believed in us more than the others, obviously, because, well, no, I mean, it came down to 5 or 6 of them. We really believed in Beekman and especially Chris and John Triano. I really like John Triano, the founder of the private equity firm. He's just such a great guy, communicator, and follows through with his word. He's one of the owners of the Florida Marlins. He's just a great guy, just really down to earth. But yeah, they were all chomping at the bit, but I think they were smart. I mean, listen, they paid the highest valuation they've ever paid, and now the business is worth 6 or 7 times more. than what they paid for in short. Yeah, in a short 3 years. So we thought we put one over on them. That's not the case. They put one over on us because they believed in us so much. We had no idea this thing would be as big as it was, as fast as it was 3 years later now.
And how are you thinking about what markets you're looking at? Like when I go to your website and I look at locations,
Yeah.
you're in a bunch of different states.
Yep.
How do you guys think about where you want to go next and what markets you're going into?
Yeah, we're very strategic. I mean, I have Jason Siegler. I hired probably 5 years ago as the VP of Real Estate and Development. He came from Brio Bravo. He was their real estate guy for all those years. Tremendous guy, tremendous mind, really honest, very down to earth, and doesn't overblow anything. He's very real about where we should go and numbers and all that kind of stuff. Great guy, best in the business. I've never found somebody better than him. Even private equity, who has like 5 or 6 other concepts, says that Jason's the best. But our strategy from the beginning was Midwest, secondary, tertiary markets, because we don't want to go to a New York, a Chicago. They've seen things like us before, right? We didn't want to go there right away to do something like that. They wouldn't be impressed. You have to get your shit together. So, it was really Midwest. So started out in Columbus, so Ohio, and then we slowly filled up Ohio with a few. And then I knew that Pittsburgh was just close enough that they would maybe know our name. So I went to Pittsburgh. Then after Pittsburgh, I think I came back to Cincy. But the strategy is really, here's the interesting part, Christopher. We do our own distribution. We have a scratch fresh kitchen, our commissary is 26,000 square feet, and we have our own trucks. We do everything ourselves. So we produce the food. We do our braises overnight, 14 hours, get in the morning. We, tear them apart. We do everything. We braise them. We cool them down. We do all this stuff. We sous vide our stuff. But then it's delivered to the restaurants, from made to the restaurants within 18 hours.
Wow.
And one of our secrets to success and craveability is that we keep everything in a centralized location. Not all of it, 80%, but it's done fresh every day and delivered to the restaurants versus them doing it in the restaurants. Maybe the recipe changes just a little bit here and a little bit there. We don't let that happen. We want it to be consistent and craveable.
So as you get bigger, you're going to need more commissaries, clearly.
We think we could probably do about 150.
In this commissary?
Yeah, we're super efficient.
Wow.
I mean, 90, well, I shouldn't say that. 70% is all fresh ingredients, fresh cold ingredients. So we're cutting and dicing and, parsley and making our guac and doing all this stuff. So yeah, we can get a lot out of this. We'll probably need 2 to 3 commissaries eventually. But the strategy is, right now, Midwest, and now we're going as far as the South. We're in Nashville. The strategy is kind of fill up the right side of the United States without going to Florida or Texas right now because they're just a little too far. But we're in Alabama this year. We're all the way up in upper or lower New York and Buffalo. We're going to the left, St. Louis. We're actually going to be in 12 states by the end of the year and 11 new markets, I think, this year. So the strategy is very well thought out. We have an 11-hour radius with our trucks that we can drive because of all the laws. I think only one state this year we're going to have to keep a driver or drivers overnight. But, so literally middle upper part of the United States to the right. We just want to fill the right side of the United States before, I think, going back past Chicago and then trying to fill the left side.
Amazing. What a cool story. Thank you for sharing. I want anything else you want to tell us about the business, the food, anything, leave people's mouths watering before we end, Joe?
Again, our food is just so craveable. You know what? We did this huge study and we're GMO free. We make it fresh every day, scratch kitchen, all this stuff. so fresh, blah, blah, blah. And then we did this study, and people are like, I don't give a shit about it. Your food is so fucking craveable. They go, I just want to drink the cheese. And the cheese is like white American and heavy cream and milk, like the simplest ingredients. They don't care about health. But it's a very craveable product in a really fun environment. Very moderately priced. I mean, it's the best $18 per person you can spend. You cannot have a better time going out for $18 per person. I guarantee you, anywhere, at any restaurant. It's just quite an experience. And we're very blessed that we have great people that make this happen for people every day.
Amazing. I want to take you to the last part of the show. We got 3 questions for you. Are you ready?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Question 1. What extinct retailer do you wish would come back from the dead?
Ooh, that's good. Showbiz Pizza. I had huge memories growing up as a kid. I remember every Saturday, my dad would take me and my sister, and we would go, and they had like these animated animals that would play a band. It's what Chuck E. Cheese, I think, turned into. And there was little games all around, and probably the worst pizza ever, but to us, it was the greatest. But I have very fond memories. I would love to see Showbiz come back into existence.
Next question. What is the last item over $20 you bought in a store?
Oh gosh, last item over $20 that I bought in a store. I think that was probably yesterday while I was stuck in the airport for 5 hours because of the FAA outages. I think I bought these headphones that I'm wearing right now.
Amazing. Last question. If you and I were shopping at Target and I lost you, what aisle would I find you in?
Oh gosh, you'd definitely find me in the electronics aisle.
Got it.
Yeah, looking for something, either a game or whatever new piece of technology is out there.
Well, everybody, if you want to have an amazing experience for $18 a person, you got to check out Condado Tacos.
Awesome. Christopher, thank you so much for having me. This was a blast. I appreciate it.
Yes. Hey, Joe, after, you just got to stay on for 1 second. It's going to say upload complete. Just give it 1 second.
You got it. Hey, it really was a pleasure talking to you here.
Appreciate you watching. Hit subscribe. See you in the next one.